Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Price, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is the third volume in a report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Laura Hamstra as Eli Sharp, and Della Borovic as Morgan Rawls. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band is heading to the Bolonsong estate. Valentyne and Morgan combed through recordings from the crash but found nothing. Eli prepared servo skull targets to prep the Lord for his hunt, and Attikus began preparing to face off with the other suitors. Can they solve a murder and win the Duke's heart? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
Overheard at the Bolonsong estate. Wait, who's coming over? So you are on your way to take over the Bolonsong estate. A bunch of off-worlders masquerading as different people who have inexplicably been given control of the estate in Guinevere Bolonsong's will. You have your trip over, I assume, kind of having planned all this in advance. You don't have a whole hell of a lot to say on the way there, but sometimes I'm wrong about such things. Is there anything you want to discuss en route?
It just occurred to Attikus, I think probably overnight he was thinking about it, but he's fine with saying it in like the character of Lord Van Houten of just, I want everyone to be sharp from here on out. If Bolonsong was the favorite and steps were taken preemptively to wipe her out, then bringing us into the estate puts us potentially into the line of fire of whatever else was set up to sabotage her. Stay sharp.
Before the Lord handles any weapons, Clarence, knowing that you will be running him through the drills, please test fire them. Fire at least 3 shots to make sure that any ammunition in any particular magazine is, let's just say, in fair play.
Without question.
Oh, and it's Valentyne back at the house would have sent the invites to get Voidstain and Kyrus to come to the mansion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm good. Valentine's set.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible for Valentyne to drive this thing, or does Hugh have to drive it?
You could drive it. These aren't extraordinarily complex machines. They just look it, but really it is like fake robot horse thing. Like just nudge it in the right direction and it'll go where you want it to go.
Yeah, so Valentyne would be the one driving. Back at the house, he would have done some low-tech, make sure you know if someone went into a room stuff, the hair over the door frame, that kind of stuff, just that if anybody goes up to the 3rd floor, they'll be aware. Hugh's not exactly the guy to be like, we got a house full of criminals. I bet Hugh's going to spot everything.
It's good you do that because Attikus can't do that trick.
So he doesn't have hair?
Yeah.
I just take one off your back, baby. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
You got to grow those mutton chops out a bit more after they got gored and burned.
Yeah.
Yep.
Singed a bit.
Yep. Cool. Great. All right. So it is summer has come to Greybridge, and it is really night and day. I know Laura, Ryan, and I all spent a bunch of time in Kingston, Ontario, and literally that place is all gray all the time until like 3 weeks in the summer, and then it is just like the most stunningly beautiful place in Canada, and then it's right back to like Victorian England. It's just like such a weird transformation, and Greybridge is a little bit like that. Suddenly, all of the houses and estates and everything else are just shining. All the colors are being picked up. Everything is in bloom, although kind of nothing's in full bloom because it happened too quickly, but like things that were en route have been hurried up by the sort of atmospheric manipulations of the Cloud Palace. But there's a heaviness to the air, certainly. And as you sort of pass other estates on your way to the Bolonsong residence, you definitely see people getting ready, but there's a really weird clash of styles as people are trying to figure out how to mix mourning with also like their summer best. Everyone had really floral, colorful summer stuff, and they're trying to like dial it down appropriately to also be in mourning. So there's a lot of societal confusion along the way. Lizzo Lizardman obviously broadcasts the Lizardman letter, which is what we heard opening last episode, swearing vengeance, which is certainly a new tone for the secret scribe.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it's an uneventful ride. And you arrive at the Bolonsong residence to find it a bit of a place of confusion with no one kind of at the head of the household. People are still kind of doing whatever their last assigned task was, but it's clear that neither the solicitor nor Treseus has been able to or has chosen to issue any orders. So like there's no adornment going on that wasn't already there. It's just kind of like everyone is basically on maintenance mode. There's a lot of staff kind of milling about. Some are packing bags and are clearly kind of planning to leave. You can see a few like wagons and caravans kind of being set up for the people who've chosen to move on after this, the most recent tragedy to befall the house. You pull up and for Morgan and Eli particularly, this is a real, just keep leaning on weird movie pulls. This is like before you arrived to like the Cratchit household when Tiny Tim was alive. Now you're going when Tiny Tim is dead and everyone's sad. So like it's a much more muted thing. The door guard isn't like chummy with maze books today. It's very much just like carriage pulls up, hits the button, gates swing open. The maze is neglected and kind of like bleak off to one side. And you approach the estate. And just for my brain, Morgan and Eli are traveling with...
we're all
together.
All in one car. Yeah.
So you pull up and Treseus is sort of like rushes out to meet you. He looks harried. He's clearly not really slept much. He's got like a can of calf in like a very fine, not a can, it's in like a very fine porcelain cup. But is vaguely trembling in his hand as he sips from it. And he just kind of waves to you as you approach and says, welcome, Lord Van Houten and Lady Vaughn. I appreciate you all coming by this early. I'll take you inside. You must meet Marcellineus Trueheart, the solicitor. She will fill you in on some of the details. I must admit there is a staggering amount of administrative bureaucracy in this particular estate. It seems that the society is far more complex than we have encountered to date, which should come as no surprise given the state of the Van Houten affairs compared to the Bolonsong. Please, this way. There is calf if you require it. Otherwise, I will show you to Solicitor Trueheart.
I'm ready to see the solicitor now.
Very good. Follow me, please. So you enter, and as soon as you come in through the doors, there are literally just stacks of calling cards, flowers, like edible baskets, just kind of like packed, shoved to either side of the door, where clearly servants have just been dumping whatever's left at the front gate. You do note that nothing is, there's no like, normally when someone famous dies, there's always like a pile of stuff. They've clearly been clearing that out, but they have just been dumping it in the front lobby. The inside of the house itself is a bit of chaos, as again, like everything is kind of set up. They were still cleaning up from the party the night before, so there's still sort of remnants of that. But generally speaking, just like a very busy location, which kind of suits your purposes because it means no one's looking too closely. Although you do get a lot of weird looks because obviously there's a strange crew to be coming through. You find Marcellineus Trueheart in sort of a beautiful sitting room with kind of like 2-story tall windows with kind of beautiful curtains overlooking the back of the property. Out the back, there's like a deep garden where Guinevere was skeet shooting, so you're kind of like, it's familiar to Eli and Morgan. But the grounds extend far beyond that as well, and you can see all manner of kind of like rich people fun stuff out the back. There's a pool, fountains, all that jazz. Solicitor Trueheart is just a very, very tired looking woman. She has clearly been, like, there's documentation everywhere, but has clearly kind of been at this for a few days. Think like a Christine Baranski if she didn't sleep for a week, kind of situation. And as you enter, she bows and just says, Lord Van Houten.
Solicitor Trueheart.
Yes, thank you for coming so quickly, my lord. I want to apologize on behalf of the society for the way all of this has been handled. This is a truly strange request from Lady Bolonsong, and I imagine this must be a huge imposition on you. So, again, I apologize. I'm truly sorry you have to put up with all of this.
I was surprised, however, the honor of this duty, I accept it happily.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right. Well, as I'm sure your clerk here can tell you, she gestures to Draceus. She says the Lady Bolonsong actually left a video communication for you that I will queue up and let you observe in peace. I've also been contacted by the court. I understand that you've been placed in charge of trying to make some sense of all this. I sincerely hope that Lady Bolonsong died from a mere mechanical mishap. I would hate to think that anyone is out there committing violence against the heirs, but I suppose anything's possible. I will leave you to this. Afterwards, I'll be happy to discuss the particulars of the will. The sooner we can wrap this up, the better for all involved, I think. And I understand you're still participating in the memorial hunt.
That's correct.
Wonderful. Then we will try and get this particular unpleasantness off your plate as soon as possible.
Well, that is greatly appreciated. Where can we view this?
And she nods, and she has a bunch of clerks on staff as well. And a couple of them wheel in like a video screen. There's like a couple of servitors kind of hovering along. It's clear that Trueheart's staff have been working throughout the building. So she kind of gets that set up and then just gestures to all of them to follow her out. And she says, if you'd like, I can leave one of my servo skills here for you to ask any questions. Otherwise, you can just come find me afterwards. If you want full privacy, I'll take them with me.
I think this has probably been a common tactic at this point, but Attikus feigns interest in these particulars so that he can leave it to Valentyne to make a informed, covert decision. So he'll just say,
Rabute, please deal with this.
And just like kind of away with this, and he'll go make himself comfortable in front of a viewing screen.
Sure.
The Lord would prefer complete privacy for now.
Understood. Yep. So she gestures and they like almost with a broom, just like get the servo skills out of there. And she kind of closes the big double doors behind her on the way out. And Draceus says, she and her staff have been turning this whole place over. The Bolonsong estate is much larger than it appears on the outside. There are several floors underneath us as well. It is a very large building, so there's a lot of places to secret things away, paperwork and the like. But it would seem that the Lady Bolonsong has left some fairly clear instructions. So he gestures to the screen.
Great. Valentyne would just start like pop Eugene out and do an audio recording of whatever's said on this, so we have a permanent record of it outside of the one the lawyer would give us.
Great. So you push the button. Attikus, you're sitting in like an uncomfortably plush chair, like just full wing back situation. It's like deeply uncomfortable for you. Admittedly, it does have good room for the arm, but like not really your jam. And the video screen kind of jumps to life in that kind of crackly, scan liney Warhammer 40K fashion. And Lady Bolonsong appears clearly adjusting a servo skull that's recording her. So there's like some of that camera adjustment stuff, but it's literally like moving a face around. And she has a glass of Amersec in one hand. She kind of looks into the camera and says, okay, so Lord Van Houten, if you're seeing this, then I'm dead, which sucks. So there's that. And she takes like a long sip and says, but at this point, I'm really not sure there's too much I can do to avoid that if someone truly wants me gone. You seem like the least likely person to try and off me in this particular endeavor, so I'm trusting my fate and the fate of my house to you. You may not fully understand the society here, being an off-worlder, but those of us who have been here a long time have spent an awful lot of that time making sure we know as much as possible. Information is our weapons on this planet, and I make sure to be well armed at all times, which is how I found out, for instance, about the death of Francois Van Houten some time ago. So I'm not entirely certain who you are. I'm not entirely certain who your friends are, but you're definitely not from here, and you're definitely not here for what you say you are. So I'm trusting you to look after me if someone got to me. There are some things going on in the Celestial season that I don't fully understand. Duke Wixthrop has never expressed interest in romance. He has actively avoided previous engagements of this sort, and it would seem to me that he is putting on a facade. I don't exactly know why, but it is very strange for someone in our society to not want the throne. In terms of the king, he's grown increasingly erratic over time. This Celestial season is proving to be a much larger pageant than we've seen to date, and I have to wonder why that is. I'm also hearing rumblings and grumblings amongst the serving class of unrest with the society as a whole. People are tired of the kinds of games that are me and my fellow aristocrats have been playing over the years, and while I admit I'm young and haven't had a huge amount of impact on that, given time, I'm sure I would be just as bad as the rest of them. In terms of who you need to watch out for, I have seen Sacatur Voidstain more than I ought to have over the past little while. For someone who has till now been a bit of a recluse, he seems to show up rather everywhere, bumping into me all the time at various events, to a point that I can't help but wonder if he's been following me. Bobby Bobberstein has continually sent summons to me. I believe he is attempting to form an alliance of some sort, which is odd because I get the sense that he legitimately doesn't care about this. I don't really know what he wants. Tridimus Versailles continues to be an asshole, but a dangerous one. He is more erratic than his facade lets on, and though he may seem foolish or a blowhard, know that there is steel behind that, and it is worth considering. In terms of Venkari Kiros, he is the worst of what our society can turn out, someone who truly cares for no one around them and seems more than happy to just fiddle while the world burns. That said, I don't honestly believe he cares enough about anything to scheme. And as for me, I had hoped that I could make something better of this world. And hopefully you never see this, because I marry Duke Wixthrop and we have incredibly boring children. And one day I do rule this place and probably repeat a lot of the same mistakes that I'm listing here. But there are secrets on this world that I have not had time to fully uncover. And I fear that I may never have that time, but you might. So if I need avenging, avenge me. If you can find out why someone would want to kill me, stop them. At the very least, don't get yourself killed. I don't know why you're visiting Greybridge, but either save it or destroy it. And I'm going to finish this drink and then throw this in a corner and hope that you never see it. Good luck, whoever you are. For what it's worth, you are a better Van Houten than any of them were. And she raises her glass, and the video cuts out.
And that's the point where Valentyne's hand grabs the servo skull and smashes it to pieces on the floor, so there is no recording of this fucking video around saying we're not the Van Houtens. That shit all ends up in a fireplace.
Yeah.
He's got a recording of the audio, so he's not worried about losing any evidence, but he'll have that on his servo skull that's encrypted at an Inquisitorial level, not the fucking video camera in a room being like, you guys are frauds.
Yeah, and to be clear, the video camera one wasn't one of the little floating ones that the solicitor had. It was literally just like
a specialty one for this.
Float so I can record. Then you stay here, skull with a camera in its eye.
Yep.
Fucking 40K, man.
That's destroyed. Valentyne will look to the rest of the room and just say, how would you like to proceed, Lord Van Houten?
Well, if this was some twisted attempt to spread a rumor like that, we need to make sure that that's dealt with. However, in terms of finding out her killer, avenging her, I would like to see the person who so cowardly sabotaged her brought to justice. Although I know that's not the main reason I'm here.
Eli was in the middle, like about to say why, but
The main-
just stopped.
Yeah. And Treseus from the corner just kind of raises a hand and says, Lord Van Houten, from what I understand as the solicitors, they operate as a separate body, almost apart from the society, working purely for the crown. I will note that I saw Mussolinius and her staff do a very thorough sweep of this room and remove the bugs, as it would be somewhat, as I understand, poor form for you to be observed while you were watching this secret recording and overseeing the video. So I think you may speak freely here, Lord, if you see fit.
Oh, boy. Still calling him Lord. Still calling him Van Houten, saying you may speak freely. Attikus is like, looks to
Valentyne will just give him a nod. Valentyne legitimately trusts
Yeah.
Treseus.
Yeah,
Treseus
yeah.
is just going to maintain the bit because he's not high ranking enough to be the one to decide not to.
Yeah.
100%. He's not going to blow it if Valentine
All
doesn't
right.
say so.
So
Yeah.
if Val nods and he says,
Right, well then, how the fuck did she find out? She found out the old Francis, he was murdered then, or killed, or whatever.
Or he died. We don't actually have information about that. Yes, I don't know how she knew it.
You do, from your original cover story. So he just died off world a long time ago, or not that long ago, but died off world, completely unrelated. Wasn't planning on going back to Greybridge. Just this was part of the cover story you were given from Treseus.
okay.
The odds of it being an assassination are tremendously low, but we don't... I mean, method of death, theoretically, but he was useless to anyone on this planet, and he wasn't coming back, so there's not really value there. No, this is what I hate about these kind of recordings. The wealthy always think they're being tremendously clever, being like, if I die, then know this. And then they list off 5 possible suspects with no motives whatsoever, and they fail to tell us why they think they're going to die. Terrible investigators, all of them. They don't trust the staff. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Okay, so...
As for her, plea to be avenged and whatnot, I mean, if I were to personally see to it that every heretic and ne'er-do-well on this world was brought to justice, well, we'd never get anything done, sir. And we're here for a very specific reason. I'm all right to let it be, but maybe it helps the image of Lord Van Houten if he's helping out a generally beloved house.
Correct. This is one of those tasks that's been given to us by the king through a very significant partner. We cannot afford to have Forrest Pollard believe we are failures, nor can we afford to disappoint the king. So this becomes something that dovetails with our general interests. It will also allow us to more directly engage with people. I'm interested to know how I can win Duke Wixthrop's hand, but I'm also growing more and more concerned about the secrets behind this season. If you've heard those words said by Pollard, who believes they're important, a space marine who should be a member of an existing chapter and instead has left it all behind, that raises large questions. This season continuing, larger questions. The murders of major players and no one seeming to react, even larger questions. The king's growing erratic behavior, and Duke Wixthrop steps into this. None of this adds up, and there's no one supervising this world, which means if there is a rot growing within it, it can keep growing and keep metastasizing until it grows elsewhere. Unfortunately, the Inquisition's attention is only designed to factor into those with millions or trillions of lives involved. Those are the problems that are at our scale. And this one links to a High Lord of Terror, which means saving the Emperor is our first priority.
Of course, sir.
But preventing the corruption of the Lords of Terror is a very close second, and this could lead to that. We need more information. We need access to her secrets. And now, depending on the way these wills function, and he looks to Treseus and just says, all of the assets of this house, are they designed to be given very specifically to a list of individuals, or is there a great deal of latitude allowed to an executor?
So he explains that there's a bit of a gray space here because she amended the will to make Van Houten the executor, but didn't also amend every piece. Like she didn't go through the whole thing and adjust it. So it's the kind of thing where like there are a bunch of cousins and extended like Bolonsong adjacent people who are distant enough that they don't have they can't just be like, I'm the heir. But that there is very likely a like weird shitty family division coming that will likely sap the resources of the house. Based on the executor status, you can probably skim some stuff like rifles or other pieces off, but you don't suddenly have access to kind of like the whole house. That said, because you're also investigating it, you do have free run of the space.
Yeah.
So you won't like the staff will respond to you. A lot of them are quitting and leaving because they've seen this before. The house is collapsing. Like there's no chance that this place comes out of here okay. And there will be people coming to account for things. That said, you're also not here for the long haul. So
no. And
if
I mean,
you want to steal a bunch of shit, you kind of
clarify Valentine's interest as opposed to just looting the place because he doesn't give a shit about money and it's not that useful. However, that's not really his interest. If there is a list of, say, this is to go to this person of another family, this is supposed to go to this person of another family, an executor can decide we're not doing that for 2 years. Or an executor 100%. Can decide like, hey,
you can
Robert
freeze.
Boberstein, here you go. You can have your thing tomorrow. Like there's leverage in that.
100%. And also, if you want to push your luck on this, like you now also are technically the people who have the estate. So if you wanted to throw your party here, you could just throw your party here and call it a memorial. Like you have a lot of latitude.
Right. That makes sense. Yes. So we have the property. We have access to the staff. I think in terms of our abilities to solve this mystery in the short term, what we can do with the access that we have today is try to put together what happened yesterday. We have access to most of the staff before they leave. Things have not greatly changed. If we can identify any weaknesses, specifically those who might be involved within this house right now, the servants were part of this betrayal. Someone had to work on that ship. She would not have brought that someone in from another house. Someone had to be a part of this, either the programming, the mechanics, someone inserting a drive that was not intended to be there. If we can identify that party, then we can start to work bigger. We start small, we figure out their contact, we work our way back to the source.
What kind of our servant benefits from the dissolution of the house?
Someone who will be paid a great deal of money and probably join another house later, or someone who's going to move off-world, or the third and much more likely option, someone who's promised both of those things and then will be murdered by the person who hired them. We are racing against the assassination of this assassin.
Well then, true sayers, does the purview of the estate fall, do the accounts of servants fall under the purview of the estate of House Bolonsong?
Yes, if you are looking to pay people out or to try and keep them on, yes.
Has anyone received a significant payment in the last 24 hours?
From this house?
From any house. Any servants here received a large payment.
Yes, no, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. The individuals control their own accounts. I do not, I've looked over their numbers. I cannot see who is paying the servants or not.
Right.
But, and he gestures broadly out the window. He's like, there are several people attempting to leave. We have a variety of servants who are abandoning their posts, who are quitting due to the fall of House Bolonsong. So if you are curious to, as the Inquisitor says, to interrogate any of these folks or to try and see if any of them are perhaps living large and or are dead, your window is rapidly closing.
Excellent. Let's halt the current payments that they are receiving. Let's make it clear that there will be a bonus that will be paid out after we speak with them from the estate for their long years of service, and let's get them lining up so I can interrogate them right now.
He nods in the way of a person who realizes how heavy a lift something is going to be, but doesn't want to tell his boss, and just says, "It shall be done. We will grab as many of them as we can. Though some may be trying to escape. Perhaps."
Well, then we should know who's trying to escape.
I agree, and perhaps Toby may take to these guys to help track down any who are trying to slip away in the night.
That is very possible. I think Toby is probably outside on the car, hanging out, and wouldn't have come in here.
Yep.
another thing that might be important. Going through her files, especially if she is a person such as this that would record such a message, perhaps there is more information in her own files. She also seemed to be obsessed with research off-world, because not only did she know about Lord Van Houten's death, but she also had information on Rolsvarn prior to me.
Interesting. Yes, Teseus, that's why you're here. Pass along the task I've just given you to the rest of the clerks. We need you to actually look at the research. You're the only person I trust to be able to spot the things we need from it. In terms of this list, if we don't catch some who flee, we will still have a list of servants and we'll be able to record who's receiving a bonus payment, meaning those are the people that we interrogated. Anyone who is not on that list, I will go out and find in the name of Lord Van Houten overnight, perhaps borrowing the other things that we need. The game still has to be played. Lord Van Houten, you have 2 meetings that you need to go to today, and Rawls, you still need to make sure that you speak to Sakatur, especially now that we know Versailles is noted as one of the most dangerous candidates consistently, and Sakatur was at least following Guinevere, if not more involved as of the past few weeks. Those meetings have to happen. Unfortunately, because the game must be played, we still need to embarrass Kyros. So,
It's up to you and me, Sharp.
Absolutely.
I'll focus on the investigation. Rawls, carry out yours.
Yes.
When you are completed your mission, you may join me on mine.
Sir, it's just occurred to me, if I may,
Yes.
the containing and perhaps even tracking down of so many people, we're only 5 here, might be able to be outsourced, you might say, to Forrest Pollard and the Royal Guard.
Yes, let's see how many candidates we have who don't turn up at the promise of money.
Might
And
be a
then-
good gesture as well. It's like the investigation is ongoing and we're quite serious about finding them, eh?
That is correct. I think at least reporting what we've found and what we're going after at the end of the day. A request for assistance would also be attached. But yes, you are correct. We need to remember that we are the menials in this investigation. The boots on the ground. Those who are in charge are in charge.
Yes, sir.
Eli, Morgan, any thoughts before we return to our various roles?
I hate this. Let's do it.
No worries, Sharp. We're going to find you some guns.
We'll see what things we can unturn.
For the Emperor.
For the Emperor.
Well, maybe too loud, he says it.
For the Emperor.
I mean, admittedly, people here still love the emperor. They just also like this king. All right. So with your tasks in hand and with the timer sort of ticking down, you all set about your tasks. I think probably the most immediate one, obviously, is the roundup of the serving staff. Teseus passes this off to like the trusted staff. Honestly, probably at this point, I would say there's likely Royal Guard on site, as there have been kind of everywhere, but not nearly as many as you guys had, largely because the Bolonsong family is like...
They're not here also, like she did.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of like, well, I mean, we need to investigate, but these guys can probably do that. But there's enough that they can start kind of like calling orders. Also, admittedly, most of the serving staff were expecting something like this. Just no one had shown up yet. So they were like, well, maybe we could just
Get clear.
go. But again, these are all like professionals. So they start lining up and, those who are packing their bags start taking them off of vehicles. Can I get a perception check from you, Morgan, for the sort of overwatch that you're doing with Toby?
Mm-hmm.
Please refresh my memory on all of your Toby bonuses.
Toby's an Auspex, right?
Toby's an Auspex.
2 boost for perception.
All right. And then the only boosts I get for Toby are tech use and driving because of in mind impulse unit.
Okay, well, that's fine. I would give you tech use then. If you're using Toby to do a Toby job, it would make sense to be that it's the good score for him, not like thing. So yeah, go ahead with tech use then.
Or I mean, I only get a boost when it's tech use, but my perception is better. Or am I using Toby's perception?
You are looking through Toby to do Overwatch, so it sounds like your perception is
okay.
Is best for you. I just didn't want to rob you of a Toby bonus that you had earned through spending points on stuff. Okay, great. So you get that for that. I'll give you a boost for the fact that the Royal Guard are trying to get people in line.
Yep.
So anyone not in line is pretty obvious. I will give you a setback for the size of the estate.
Yeah.
Toby's having to cover a lot of ground. Yeah, I think that's...
And the difficulty.
Difficulty of 3, please.
Okay. Roll?
Go ahead.
All right. 3 successes and 2 threats.
Hot damn. All right. So, Toby, I'm going to turn those 3 threat into 3 separate people who are jumping
2
ship.
threat?
2 threats.
2 threat?
3 successes.
Yes. 3 successes, 2 threats.
Sorry, it's been a long day. Okay. There are 3 people. Fuck the threat. There's 3 people. There were always going to be 3 anyway. I was just like, oh, this works out with the dice. I can just say it was the dice all along. There's 3 people who seem to be sort of actively not getting in line. There are... there's one who is at the back of the property, who is like past the fountain and is sort of on foot, and seems to be moving in a strange way. A bit of an awkward way. Again, you can only really see them at distance, but like seems to be moving strangely. There is someone else who is basically, and again, because you're doing like the Overwatch view, you can see them crouching in behind one of the royal dropships that's here and spit out a bunch of guards. And you can see they're basically doing what you would do. They're trying to jimmy a panel so they can like stow away. And the other one seems to be at the stables and is sort of like, you just sort of catch a glimpse of their livery as they slip into the stables. What do you do?
Man, that's an instant over the communicate beads to Valentyne. It's Robute. We seem to have 3 people who are not falling in line. 2 of them close by. One is trying to escape through the stables. One is trying to get through one of the royal ships. My most concerning one is the back edge of the property. There's something strange.
Could your avian friend perhaps pick up the furthest candidate and return them to the mansion?
Yes.
Excellent. Then perhaps I will go to the stables. And then if you want to report in person, perhaps collect the one trying to jimmy a panel.
I will do that.
Those are funny words coming out of Valentine's mouth.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you both sort of go on foot after the 2 that are here. Del, how does Toby going for a long distance target work?
It actually is his primary function as a grapple hawk, is to grab, retrieve, and fly back with
And
targets.
hawk.
Yes. Yes, because it's originally an arbites animal that is for stopping and detaining escaping criminals.
Oh,
Amazing.
So that's what his OG purpose was before.
nice
Before he got
expecting that
grabbed by a
response.
before he got grabbed by a rogue trader and was retooled for other purposes.
Great.
It's important for pets to engage in their natural behavior.
It's true. That's what he's for.
He's got a jet engine and claws. What else is he going to do?
Extreme flying. All right. So
It says, after resolving a melee hit, a grapple hawk may, as an incidental, start carrying a creature that
great.
is engaged and immobilized.
Fair. These are fair points.
That's what we got.
All right. So
Shock pulse claws. Holy
Yep,
shit.
that's what they do. Remember, he murdered a man with those
Hence
once.
immobilized, yes.
Yes,
all right. So
that was a more innocent time when Attikus was learning to ride a bike.
that's right. And we murdered a man with the bird. Yes, by electrocuting him.
Attikus didn't learn either, by the way.
it's weird that counts as the good old days for this squad.
Attikus sat on the
really
crossbar.
All right. So let's resolve that in a second, since that sounds rad as hell, and
Yeah,
I
that
feel
does.
like some of these other things may be a little easier. All right. Valentyne, you're headed for the stables, and Morgan, you're headed for Captain Jimmy Panel.
Yep.
All right, let's deal with that guy first. So you make your way as you kind of like signal to Toby to
go after the
be Toby. Jet engines like light up, bird starts going, and you sort of rapidly make your way down, or I guess through the back of the estate out the front. And sure enough, the guard are in very like bright livery. I'm imagining them in like crimson, like basically similar to what the moth, not the moths, but like all the Imperial generals in Star Wars, where it's like the little cap and then just kind of like a tunic belted, 40K, so more skulls, but in crimson. So like very, very, like the Royal Guard are very easy to see. They're very visible. So you can see them kind of moving around. And the servants, again, are just like, most of them are really, this is just business as usual, weirdly. They're like, yeah, of course, like naturally. But it also means that the guards are busy because this is a lot of crowd wrangling. There are a lot of folks who worked at this estate. You move past all of them, and sure enough, you see a servant very quickly working a panel. And they just managed to crack it off as you approach, being like, I'm in. And they start to crawl in. What do you do?
Morgan would squat down behind them as they're trying to crawl in and, excuse me, the Lord and the solicitor called for you and you are missing.
Interesting point. And they throw an elbow at your face.
Okay.
Valentyne, you arrive similarly. You come out, you see Morgan kind of dip out one way, you go the other. You're heading to the stables.
Yes.
I mean, you don't have any weapons to pull. I assume you don't have your last pistol.
No, he wouldn't bring that here.
Yeah. So just storming over to give like a stern talking to.
He's got a stern talking to. He also has a robot hand. He's capable of violence all on his own.
That's great.
This is still a commissar. They weren't known for hugs. It's not just pistols and chain swords. He's ready for a fucking fist fight. He's also 6'3", 6'4". He's got some good fucking reach on him. Like, he knows what he's doing. So he'd like to. He's not going to announce himself. He's not like stop police. This is stealth in, catch somebody, physically restrain, and march back. If he sees them and they're fucking huge, then he's going to have to adjust the plan.
Sure.
But the first thought is sneaky grab.
So give me let's get a stealth check then. Difficulty of 2.
Okay.
You get a boost for just general nonsense going on. Gives you a lot of like cover. There's a lot of people moving around. But you also get a setback for someone trying to escape a massive situation, being a little bit more vigilant. Yeah, I think that's what I would give you guys for. And fuck it, because you guys need some story points back on the board, I will spend a story point to jack up stable guy, bringing us to 1 and 4.
Yep. You said it was difficulty 2?
Yep.
Okay. I would pitch one more boost because Valentyne knows he's hunting a target and the target does not know they are being actively hunted.
Yeah, by that.
All right, let's see what happens. 3 successes and 2 advantage.
Hey.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty even roll because stealth is not his strength.
Good.
Okay. I just watched as a cool chase scene I had planned just flies away.
Bye.
Like Toby. So you sneak into the stable and you're kind of like moving between the horses with some, horse confidence.
Absolutely.
And you see...
I'm confident because I don't have to ride them.
Yeah, you see a servant hop up on one of the horses, and she just kind of leans down, and she's like, fly true. And just as she's about to kick her heels into the feathers of the horse, you just reach up and grab her ankle, so the horse fucking takes off, but she does not go with it. You just drag her down by the ankle, as the horse runs off, kind of clinking with like stolen cutlery and shit, as the horse just like books it off into the night. Day. It's morning. It's the morning. I keep saying night because it's cool. It's cool to say, but no, it's very much the day.
When she hits the ground, Valentyne is just immediately pulling off his belt and tying her hands behind her back with it, and he's going to frog march her in like a criminal.
All right. Meanwhile, elbow flying at your face, Morgan. What is your defense, if any?
I have a defense, but I also have a pitch that
Sure. Yep. Hit me.
Morgan,
you know how much
if
I hate rolling dice.
Yeah.
So.
If this person is trying to, she's higher class than a servant. She's not super high, but if this servant is trying to elbow her in the face, I think she's going to take the elbow to the face, but try to trip them up so they can't escape, and just start being like, gods, help. I'm being attacked.
Take an ass kicking, but let the Royal Guards arrest this person.
I deeply buy this pitch.
Shit, though.
Okay.
That's so good.
So I think we'll just say then it's what's your soak?
My soak is I have no clothes on right now, so it is 3.
3. All right. So I'm going to say you take 2 points of damage
Sure.
Over and above the soak, just
Sorry,
from
what
getting
are you wearing?
I'm just wearing clothes.
No-
All
no
my armor and
armor.
everything
Okay.
is
But
gone.
she's wearing
No
clothes.
She's been
clothes on,
nude
like-
the whole day. It's a bold statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, street clothes, so
there
there's
are
no defense.
dozens
Yeah,
of
okay.
us. Dozens. Elbow flies back, cracks you in the face. You stumble
Bloody
away.
nose. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not even gonna make you roll for it. Like you're not trying. It's an easy lie. You're just like, behold, and immediately the guards turn, and one of them is like, someone's attacking in air, and just immediately lasgun fire just melts this guy. There's like blasts that ping off the side of the ship, but it's literally like fucking Sonny Corleone getting pinned against a car as they open fire. And the rest of the servants just go stock still because like this level of violence on this planet is low. But also for those soldiers, they never get to fire at things. So they're all like, oh, fuck, it's happening. It's the war.
Jesus
God.
Christ.
So just and
Just 35 jar heads.
yeah,
all shooting
just
this
like, it's
one
our first
person.
time. So that person pays the price of elbowing Morgan Rawls. Speaking of paying prices for fucking with Morgan, Toby is soaring towards the distant target, who is running. Go ahead and make your melee attack. So there'll be 2 purple. I'm going to spend a story point to bump one of those to a red.
Okay.
Otherwise, you get a boost for this person being very slow for reasons we will soon see. I don't think I have.
I don't think I have anything either.
And
It's
wait,
just-
you rolled, Ryan, you rolled a bunch of advantage.
Yeah.
All right. So
I rolled, I think,
3 of, I believe.
2. So I can pass
I'll
one
throw-
over.
Yeah.
I was going to say, could we pitch another boost? Because it is a robot bird coming out of the sky to someone who's not aware a bird's coming.
So you're saying, do you have advantage / do you get sneak attack damage? Yes, you do. Yes, that's fine.
Yay, thank you.
I was like, there's not a better sneak in the world than a bird fast enough that its jet engine sound arrives after the bird.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
First thing you're taught in school as a servant, look out for robot space birds.
Just even
Especially if you're small, you don't want to get carried away by a hawk.
And the animal that like this robot is based on literally like hunts creatures in open fields. Like it's like a buffet for a hawk.
Toby's
it's a
having
shit.
a
This
great
one says,
time.
I am Toby, I am Hawk, the
Yeah.
whole way down,
Yeah.
like a shitty transformer. All right, yeah, go for it.
All right.
There's a sweet ollie on the way, Toby Hawk.
Oh,
That
Birdman.
is 5 successes and 1 advantage.
Wow.
Well, good thing
It's
you
got Pierce 2. It's got
uh,
damage 5, which now is doubled.
Those
And
are
it's
some-
stun damage and ensnare. So it's just lighting it up.
10 damage with Pierce 2 from a shock pulse claw.
Yes.
Damn.
How much
Those
soap
are
does
some.
Though technically it's all stun damage, so it doesn't actually do
nice.
HP damage. It does it to their
Strain.
strain. So knock
Yep.
unconscious. Yes.
Totally fair. Well, they do actually have a significant amount of soak from the giant bag of riches that they have strapped to their back that they are poorly running with. That Toby just claws through, just like tears the bag.
It's also metal, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
just. So you just see this poor son of a bitch
Christ.
running, being like, "You got this, faster, stronger. You got this. You're gonna be a lord." It's just like lightning arcs across him. It's just like slow motion, just like golden finery flies up behind him as he just gets like repeatedly shocked, falling forward, and he never hits the ground. It's just Toby soaring up, with him,
Taking a back. Yep.
leaving a train, like just a trail of like gold
Just
raining
raining
from the
gold.
sky.
I'm going to make so much money from these stolen superconductors. Away with the bird.
Everyone says you should insulate your
Yeah.
loot bags, not me.
I looted all the copper wiring out of this house.
And I stored extra in my mouth. Yeah. So just immediately unconscious
Nice.
as Toby leaves a rain of gold flying him back.
So we caught the 2 thieves with the 1 person capable of violence who's way more interesting is dead.
Yeah.
Fucking shit.
That's dark heresy, baby.
I mean, I'm just curious. I'm like not involved in the scene or anything like that, but like the 2 people that we caught alive had dropped, cutlery, coins, loot, stuff like that. Person sneaking aboard a ship, we didn't necessarily hear about them stealing anything, right?
I certainly didn't describe it. No.
Oh, tremendously interesting individual. Yeah. Just absolutely
The
annihilated.
if we could have picked
No,
one.
they would shoot him.
Okay, we got it. We're sinking back into the story world now. This is all happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll find out what happens next time.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Brian LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Del Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Mithrian, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Dio Vassis, Loki Burrito, Squishy Werewolf, Remy, Funky Head, Nomad, the Wise Paladin of the Badlands, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.